Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I'm your host, James Fauntleroy. So good to see all of you guys here on this Tuesday afternoon. It is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. We are live. Hello, everybody. Apologize for the slight tardiness. Was trying to get some little kinks worked out for the stream today, but we are doing okay for the most part, I can say. If I'm a little bit laggy, I do apologize about that. But good to see all of you and welcome back. Oh man, it is going to be 2 days before Christmas, and then next week it will be a new year. It's crazy, but it is so good to see all of you guys here. Just to let you guys know, the Jaybefaunt channel is also part of Revolutionary Blackout Network, so you can find me for the JB Show every single Sunday, as well as for the RBM Roundtable. Also, if you guys would like to, please go ahead and give a like to the stream. This helps me out very much to be able to reach more people so that we can activate, inspire, and encourage. Thank you so very much there as well. Also, if you guys have not, you guys can also subscribe to my Substack. This gives you email notifications whenever I upload any clips, go live, or write any articles. So you guys get put on that email list, and you guys can also see any of those on my Substack as well. Thank you very much for that. Also, if you guys would like to, you guys can also send me any questions and I can video respond. Or if you guys would like for me to react to a video you guys find interesting, you can do that through QBounty at qbounty.com/Jaybefaunt. So there you go, right there. All right, guys. Good to see all of you here. Let's say hello to the people in the chat, and then we shall get on with the show. All right, let's go in. Starting in, Zero says you're late. Yes, I know. We're going by color people time today. That's what we're going by. But yes, of course, I do apologize. I was working out some technical kinks, but we are here. Thank you so very much. We have Edward coming in saying, "What's up, JB? Nicki Minaj does not surprise me either. Most rappers tend to be Trump supporters." This is going to be an interesting one we're going to get into because I have some things to say. I have some things to point out. Amanda says, "I literally cannot cope with this one, JB. I love Nicki. This is not cool." Ooh, yeah. This is not going to be a fun one for some barbs. It's not. But I have an angle. I do have an angle. And I hope you hear me out. But it's not going to be a fun one for the barbs. The barbs are not having a good week. But we shall continue. CBC Voter says, "Happy Tuesday at JB. Good to see you as well." We have Holly coming in saying, "Hi, JB. Good to see you." Zero says, "I almost goddamn overslept. Boy, that would have been embarrassing. Merry early Christmas, Mr. Fauntleroy. I'll keep the question short." Oh, man. I kind of wish I did. Then that would be kind of cool, but no, I don't. Oh, my goodness. Edward says, Nicki Minaj is not very receptive to fans. And we have Jace coming in saying, "Merry Christmas, everyone." Merry Christmas, everyone. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. Let's get into the show. So we're going to have a few things we're going to be talking about. Let's get into the thumbnail, and then we shall proceed. So later in the show today, we are going to be discussing Nicki Minaj. And this is why I am saying it's not just Nicki. They're all like this. And you will figure out exactly what I mean. Because honestly, they just are. And so we'll be getting into that. Also, a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking about systemic oppression. We're going to be talking about really the school to prison pipeline and how it is so vicious and how we see it continue even today. And this recently happened with a student. And this is going to be one where I think it is absolutely necessary that we talk about because, look, are the Black youth in particular are being harmed by the system perpetually. But the first story we're going to be talking about, we'll be talking about workers in Lexington. So we're going to be talking about those Tyson workers are going to lose big in Lexington. We're going to be getting into that story right now with incoming economic collapse. So as somebody who has solidarity with working class, and I am of the working class, there is this story that came across my view that I was looking at and I said, this basically is reminiscent of what happened to a lot of the Rust Belt and what happened when they had NAFTA as well as permanent normal relations with China. And this caused a lot of the jobs to basically evaporate over time. And so because of this evaporation, it's going to cause a lot of economic chaos and social unrest for many people who are going to be in Lexington. Now, this is not Lexington, Kentucky. This is in Lexington, Nebraska that we're going to be talking about. And this is actually a small town that's going to be hit with this economic collapse. And so I want to get into this first because ultimately what they're doing in this small town really is just reminiscent of a capitalist system that we constantly critique on this show, on this channel. And it just shows exactly why it is so terrible. So we're going to get into this and then we'll get into the article. So this is an article that's from the Associated Press. It says a Tyson beef plant, by far the largest employer in Lexington, Nebraska, plans to lay off 3,200 people when the company closes its facility on January 20th. Tyson says it is closed historically low cattle herd in the United States. So we're going to be getting into this right now. Let's take a look at what the people on the ground are saying. What in the world just happened? Hang on. Sorry. Okay. All right. No more glitches. Let's get on.
Because they were heartbroken. They don't want to go anywhere. This is their home.
The Tyson plant gave us notice of a layoff procedure warn notice over a week ago. They'll be closing their facility as of January 20th, impacting 3,200 of the individuals coming in for our services. Of course, it is anxiety. What do I do next? Will I have a job? And where do I go? And what do I do from here? Tyson workers make up about 3,200 of the population of 11,000 of Lexington. And so they have a great impact upon the culture, schools, and everything that a community is comprised of.
We just hardworking people. What we do is go to work, come to church. That's all we do here.
These plants have been underutilized, and we have a shortage of cattle out there in the U.S., and because of that, very vulnerable that somebody might shut down. We have a very strong community in Lexington that really is close-knit and very accepting of the packing industry as well as all industries.
So ultimately, there's I want to get into this article because the pain is more far-reaching than even what that video clip has described. Let's get into this here because it is getting bad out there, guys. So let me share this. This is taught. They call it a gut punch. So it says a gut punch. Nebraska town shell shocked by Tyson closing huge beef plant. So about 3,200 of Lexington, Nebraska's 11,000 residents work at a huge Tyson Foods beef processing plant for another month. News that the plant will close next month was an unexpected gut punch to many fear will devastate this rural cow town. So let's get into this. So it says the company is the largest employer in Lexington by a huge margin. After its 3,200 workers, the next largest employer at the local is the local school district at about 500. Most of the town depends on the plants, not just us. Before people go to their shift, they come in and stop for lunch, or they're getting off a shift just to get food so they don't have to go home and cook. That's from a man named Armando who owns a restaurant. He calls the Tyson plant the heart of Lexington, adding that the community that's given its blood and sweat to the corporation for 35 years has had its heart torn out. It says, for this part, the nation's largest poultry and meat producer doesn't say it's shutting down or closing the Lexington plant, which can process up to 5,000 head of cattle a day, or about 5% of America's beef. It says it will end operations and call the closure network changes that will position the company for long-term success. Let's stop there for a second, because this is ultimately part of the crux of what I want to discuss. Now, when you have companies that say we're going for long-term success, that doesn't mean long-term success for the workers. That means long-term success for whom? The people at the top. And therefore, because it's about their success, it's about what they need, it's about what they want, it's about their profits and what's in their bottom line. That means who gets screwed, who gets shafted, who gets the short end of the stick. It is the workers, and it is going to be the workers every single time. And so when you look at something like this, it's always about, well, we need to maximize profits, and the profits. And I encourage anybody and everybody to look up Democracy at Work and listen to the explanation of socialism and capitalism from people like Dr. Richard Wolff. But basically, ultimately, because the goal of the capitalist is to take that surplus value, which we call profit, into their coffers, into their pockets, into their wallets, then therefore it means that anybody else who's outside of that circle, if they're not making, look, if the profits are at risk because of them, then they got to go. Sorry, you're about to, elsewhere, right? It's the same thing. Or, oh, you don't have health care anymore. So bad to be you. I hope you got Cobra, or I hope you got another family member you can go under, but we got to let you go. And it's not because the people who are at the top are struggling. No, baby, they're not struggling. They just want another yacht. They just want another Bugatti they can shit in. That's basically what it is. I should say more bathrooms, but for them, it doesn't matter. They don't care about the workers anyway. And so the point being, and that's what it's always about. And so this is why this small rural town of 11,000 people is about to get a economic hit, an economic gut punch, as they put it, because of who? And it could be, well, we can just circumvent, we can come back stronger next season. But no, they got one little hiccup and they're ready to pack it up and go. And that's the problem with this system, because it is owned by a very small contingent of people who essentially say it's about us or nobody at all. So let's continue on. It says the announcement came in a 125-word press release that it says production will be increased at other Tyson beef plants to make up for the shuttering of the Lexington plant. This is interesting because if they need to increase production at other plants because this one's shutting down, why not just keep this one open instead? Or they could cut hours, or they could lay a few people off, right? They could do that, but they're shutting it down completely. I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Because they do not want that plant anymore. It's not just about work pay and things like that. It is also about operation costs. Maybe they're trying to sell the land. They're not specifying that right now, but maybe they're trying to sell the land, do things like that, right? And so because they want to do all that, that means that's money saved. Money saved goes where? It's not going to workers' pockets. No. It's going to who? The people at the top, the capitalists. That's who it's going to. So let's continue. It says, with cattle supplies at a 70-year low across the country, huge plants like Tyson can't keep their operations running at full capacity, according to the Center for Agricultural Profitability at the University of Nebraska. For these huge plants, it's all or nothing. They can make money in volume, but bleed to death if they can't produce at full capacity. Tyson's 6 beef plants produce the most in the U.S., with capacity to process 27,600 cattle a day, the center reports. So the people in Lexington have been through this before. The plant originally was owned by Sperry New Holland, which made farm equipment until the factory closed in 1985. 4 years later, Iowa Beef Packers bought the facility and retooled it to process beef, opening again in 1990. It was expanded again when Tyson acquired IBP in 2001. The Tyson closure announcement also says that the company reorganizes the impact these decisions have on team members and the communities where we operate. Let's stop here for a second. It says Iowa Beef Packers bought the facility and retooled it to process beef, opening again in 1990, and it was expanded again when Tyson acquired Iowa Beef Packers in 2001. So what does this mean? So this is basically capitalism at work, right? So what capitalism does is that it demands infinite growth on a planet with finite resources. And so that infinite growth means, okay, so we've gotten this much bigger, but we see all these smaller companies that are competing with us. And instead of competing and doing better than them, we'll just eat them up. So we don't have to do better. We don't have to provide any better quality or prices or services. And so then we'll eat them up. And so where's the competition? There ain't no competition. So we don't have to improve anything. We just bought them out. And then you buy them out and then you grow bigger. But then there's parts where it's like, well, we're having tough times in this area, so let's just cut it completely. And then who loses out? All the people that go. And then all that money that was made, Tyson, they pick up and they leave, and they still got the money that they made. The people who live there, they're the ones who are carrying the short end of the stick. They are the ones that get shafted. And now the largest employer in the entire town is gone. And because it's gone, what does that happen? What happens to the town? Let's get into this because it So Paul Bernstein says that, basically saying that it's bullshit. It's all bottom line. They don't care about the actual people here. The plant closure and what it will mean for Lexington has been a popular topic of discussion among Bernstein and other retired men who gather most mornings for coffee at the Farmers Cafe. While Tyson has a huge payroll and has been a frequent contributor to local groups and events, much of that came from local management, not corporate headquarters. Says he sits back with the rest of the small dining room dominated by a large round table, old guys. He says he admits that there's a lot of speculation and rumors flying around town without much to base them on. So let's get in here. So it says, just by numbers, there weren't enough workers in a town less than 11,000 to fully staff a crew of 3,200. IBP brought in workers from Mexico and Central America when the Tyson brought the plant. If it found a pipeline through refugees from Somalia and Sudan. It says decades of growth in families bringing in more members to Lexington to work have made the small town one of the most ethnically diverse in Nebraska. The U.S. Census reports more than 40% of Lexington residents are immigrants, and the town reflects that. Those people include a group of workers chatting amongst themselves as they cross a busy Plum Creek Parkway on Thursday after the morning shift at the Tyson plant. So here's the problem, right? Why did they import so many workers from Mexico and then places like Somalia? Why did they import so many workers? Why didn't they pick the workers that were already living here? Why didn't they get workers from Montana? They could have gotten from Michigan. They could have got them from Kentucky. They could have got them from Mississippi. They could have imported just American workers. You want to know why? Because they're cheaper. You got to remember, this is capitalism. That's how they operate. They want to make sure that they can keep as much money as possible. That means exploiting workers from outside of the country in order to be able to make more money. So, of course, they're going to import more workers who are immigrants so that they can make more from this. And so because they're doing this, they can pay them less. They can pay them less. When they leave, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? Now these people came here trying to seek a better life, and now the job that you came here for shipped off. They kick rocks. And now what are you going to do? You spent 35 years here, 20 years here. And now what do you have to show for it? Because this corporation basically do what they could to draw you in, documented or undocumented. And now you're in a small town where the next largest employer is the school district. And instead of it being over 3,000 people, now it's only 500. So who's going to be able to get a job at the school district? Not many of them. It says, asked if they'd be willing to answer a few questions about the plant closure. The group looks down, physically retreating into themselves. They ask quietly whether the reporter is an agent with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They relax when the answer is no. Then 3 of the group of 7 agree to talk, 2 men and a woman. They're still skittish, however, after some thought. Both men say their names are John, no last name, and a woman doesn't speak but smiles and nods in the affirmative. John, number 1, interprets for the others who speak Somali and said that he has been in Lexington for about 15 years working at the plant. He's become an American citizen, is very proud of his job, and that he owns a home in town. John number 2 said he's working on becoming a citizen and has been with Tyson for more than 5 years. Both say they'll still shell-shocked by the announcement and felt like they'll be lost when the plant closes. Don't know when I'm going to do after January 20th. He says, this is home now. I do not wish to leave. John number 2 agrees, saying he's also afraid that the closure is going to put a large immigrant population of Lexington on ICE's radar. Even though the company bought them in legally, and many are now citizens, they're scared of being deported. So they're legal, right? But, you and I both know that ICE don't care. If you look like you are an immigrant, I don't care if your parents had been here since the 1600s. I don't care if you're Black American and your parents your ancestors were brought here on slave ships back in the 1700s, like mine. Don't matter. If you look immigrant enough to them, they will grab you up. And let's say you don't get deported or anything like that. Yeah, but at the same time, they'll detain you. And they can detain you for weeks, and then you can lose your job if you have one. Or bad things can happen to your house. What if you miss your rent payment and then you get evicted because they held you for weeks? Or what if your family, is trying to scramble to help you out? That it's a lot. And so this is the piece of why these big corporations are the problem. Capitalism is the problem. Because it's creating so many victims. So many. So it says behind the group is Plum Creek Marketplace, a local grocery store that has been around since 1989 and relies on the Tyson plant directly across the road for a big chunk of its customer base. Now, the manager says that he said the announcement not only came as a total surprise, but it has started a wave of rumors and uneasiness around town. Wow, man. Because right now, rumors fly when stuff like this starts happening. It's all just speculation as to what the overall impact is going to be. In the meantime, a large digital billboard in front of the store and facing the plant advertises a firm in Grand Island, Nebraska is hiring. That first week, we saw more people congregating and talking and hugging in our store. I think it's so unfair to these people. And the timing, that's my biggest thing. The timing is absolutely terrible. He estimates he'll lose 30% of his business without the plant. His market will survive, he said, but that won't be the case for many other small businesses. And this is the point that I'm also trying to make. People who talk about, oh my God, we support small businesses, but yet you still stand behind big corporations. You're basically supporting the closure of small businesses by supporting big corporations. That's what you're doing. You don't actually care about small businesses. You're just using the facade of small businesses, of caring about small businesses, so that people will think that you're somewhat compassionate. But you're not, because if you're sitting there saying that, oh, well, I care about small businesses, but yet you still support big corporations and you're taking money from big corporations, you don't actually care about small businesses. Because it's the small businesses that you say laws and policies to tear them down, that are strengthening these big corporations, that take over and buy up these small businesses so that you don't have any more competition in the marketplace. Everybody wants to talk about the free market until they get bribed to not believe in the free market. And then the free market goes away and they're like, oh my God, where's the free market? Y'all sold it. Y'all betrayed it. Everybody who talks about, oh, I support capitalism and the free market, if you're standing with big business, no, you don't. Capitalism does not breed innovation. Competition alive, meaning it would not be buying up all the smaller businesses in order to grow. It wouldn't be able to grow even bigger because the competition would mean that they stay competitive, but because they can't grow past that, then that market share is more spread out to more different businesses. But capitalism is about who owns what. And that means that they want to grow as much as they can without limitations. Okay? Most times, they're also against regulation because regulation means limitations. And those limitations mean, guess what? That means profits aren't as easy to make. I should show that clip that my comrades actually shared with me from Michael Parenti. Because the reason why I say is because Michael Parenti basically debunked the entire argument regarding how capitalism ultimately, when you have pure capitalism, it just leads to chaos. I wonder if this is the clip. Hang on.
There's this viral post.
No, that's not it. Because I just thought about it just now, and I was like, you know what? This makes a whole lot of sense. And I honestly do feel like what Michael Parenti said should be heard by many more people, especially now since people like Noam Chomsky are epically embarrassed by their association with Jeffrey Epstein. I guess we should be looking at Michael Parenti a little bit more now, guys. But ultimately, was that we did have the closest thing to pure capitalism in this country was in 1890. And during that period, we had a huge typhoid outbreak. There were people getting sick left and right. They said the number of work-related injuries was as its highest it's ever been in the United States. We had unregulated child labor that was being done in this country. And so that is capitalism at its least regulated. And so having no regulations means that, well, every single time you purchase something from somebody, you're taking a risk. Every single time you take a breath, you're taking a risk. Because if there's no regulation, well, that means somebody is willing to risk your life to make a dime. And that's the point. Hang on, let me see.
$140,000 a year. A lot of people are upset. Oh, that's too much money. That's
Hang on.
too much money.
If a monkey.
No, it's not there.
When I asked
But
anarchists what was the plan of
I'm going to
action,
tell you right now, ultimately, when it comes to this system, used to perpetually just push people to the margins. And here's an article that actually talks about how the jobless numbers actually went up. The unemployment numbers rose. And it doesn't seem like it will slow down. So I want to share this as well, because ultimately what needs to happen is we have to come to a reckoning that capitalism is not going to save us. It is not working. And it is not the best system for us. It is not a better system for us. And in fact, it is causing us to do even worse now. It was beneficial for a time, but that time is now past. So let me share this here. It says Trump's long tortured relationship with the unemployment rate just got worse. So it says when jobs or inflation data. Oh my God, really? These ads. Anyway, when jobs or inflation data counter President Trump's preferred economic narrative, he typically offers alternative statistics to shine more positive light on the economy. But Trump's latest effort asks Americans to buy into some puzzling logic. After America's unemployment rate hit a 4-year high of 4.6% in November, Trump made the argument that the job market is far better than it appears. He reasons he could quickly put millions of Americans back to work, but won't. It's like, now, if I want to make some good numbers, I'll add 300,000 jobs. I can do it with one phone call, Trump said at a campaign-style rally in North Carolina on Friday. He said if he wanted to, he could force government agencies to add jobs that they lost this year through a combination of resignations, arbitration, and staffing reductions led by the Department of Government Efficiency. They'll hire them immediately. They'll pour in, and the 4.5% will be down to 2.5% in a matter of moments. I can get it down to zero, hire a couple million workers, but that's the destruction of a country. Says Trump's argument contains numerous factual errors. There's no surprise, considering that he has been second-guessing job statistics for a decade, from when he falsely stated that during the 2016 presidential campaign that the jobless rate was 42%, to when he fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner this summer over revisions that showed the labor market was worse off than previously expected. But then the significant problem with Trump's message is he once again is asking people to ignore their lived experience of a weakening job market and believe in an alternative portrait of America's economy that doesn't match reality. And so you will look at this case of what's happening in Lexington, Nebraska, and you'll say to yourself, well, things are getting worse. But then somebody who is either Donald Trump, any of his not cohorts, but any of his surrogates or anybody who is a MAGA supporter will try to twist themselves in the pretzels and say, well, this is not exactly right. Things are actually better than what they actually are. When in reality, go to the people in the town of Lexington, Nebraska, and ask them how things are going. When we open up our wallets, when we look at our bank accounts online, and we see it is either at zero or damn near zero, or we see it's negative in the red and we're about to get hit with an overdraft fee, that tells us everything we need to know. And so big corporations like Tyson, of course, they contribute to our politicians because they want to keep the regulations low so they won't have to spend any much money. And they want to keep their earnings high. So this is why they lay off so many people. And then who ends up benefiting? Well, the CEO and shareholders of these corporations, but also the politicians, because they get a pat on the head campaign coffers. Meanwhile, you, I, and everybody else are worried because there's a possibility we can get evicted, our homes can be foreclosed on, we lose our health care, and may not be able to feed ourselves or our family. That benefit rate is going to jump. It is going to jump like Michael Jordan in 1995. In for a very terrible recession. And it's not just because it's the Republicans. No, the Democrats were also overseeing this economic demolition, and they just handed it off to Republicans. Because ultimately, the economic demolition means more benefits to the parasite class, which both Democrats and Republicans gladly facilitate. So I'm hoping something can change. I'm not counting on it. But the people in Lexington, Lexington, Nebraska, my apologies, they're about to go through it. And they're feeling the pain which many of us are feeling. And it's one thing to lose a job, but what happens when it's a huge chunk of an entire town? What happens then? That means the entire town is destroyed. This is where mutual aid comes in. And for those of you who may live near there, Lexington, Nebraska, if you guys have any mutual aid groups or know of any mutual aid groups within the area, it's time to start packing up supplies, get your education ready, brush up on that, and head over to Lexington to show people that there is definitely a better way for all of us. All right, everybody, give a like to the stream. Thank you so very much. Let's get into the comments, and then we will move on into the next story. Let me check to see if I have any gifted subs on Kick, and then we will check to see if we have any Rumble rants, and then we will go through the rest of the YouTube chat, and we shall move on. All right. Looks like we're good on the Kick chat. Good there. Beautiful, beautiful. Good things, good things. Let me see here. All righty. All right, we do have a Rumble rant. This is like my second or third ever, so this is pretty awesome. Let me see. Let me make sure I get this enlarged. There we go. All right. All right. So thank you so much for the $10 Rumble rant. Jimmy Apples said, thanks for being here. You rock. Thank you so very much, Jimmy Apples. Jimmy, let me ask you a question. I just would like to know this one thing. Oop, I didn't want to do that. Let me ask you this. Is your grandmother named Smith? Is she Granny Smith? Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry. Look, You can take the guy out of the dad jokes, but you can't take the dad jokes out of the guy. Let me tell you, baby. Everybody was like, "What? What is he talking? What is he about to do? What is he about to say?" Anyway, but yeah, thank you so very much for that, Jimmy Apples. I appreciate it. Oh Lord, everybody's about to roll their eyes in the chat right now, like, "Oh, James, you're so silly." Hey, it's me. Why do you think you came here? Because of that. Anyways, let's get to the rest of the chat, guys. All righty. Let me see here. All right. Sean's saying, and we got heat. What's the temperature outside today? I know the temperature is higher right now. It's 77. 77. 77 here in Florida. Whew. This is an interesting question. Roger Meadow says, how soon after you left Jehovah's Witness Protection Program? You're a huge cheers for that one, Roger. When you start celebrating Christmas, I don't know, probably the very next year, maybe. I mean, look, let me be real with you. I know Christmas is not a Christian holiday. Like, let's be real, it's not a Christian holiday. It's based on the Roman holiday of Saturnalia to celebrate the winter solstice. It's not based on anything Christian. They actually try to pigeonhole it into being a Christian holiday so that they can expand the celebration, throughout the Roman Empire. So, I mean, ultimately, Christmas is not actually a Christian holiday. Jesus was not actually born on December 25th. Jesus was actually born 6 months after, because he died at 33 and a half, right? If there's 33 and a half, that means in 6 months he would have been 34 years old. And typically Nisan 14, which is when he was supposedly have died, is typically between March and April if you go by the Jewish lunar calendar. And because the Jewish lunar calendar goes between March and April, then you can more accurately say that Jesus' birthday was probably somewhere around October, November. So it's very possible that Jesus was actually born on Halloween. So, I mean, let's be real. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. But that whole thing, and plus he never told us to celebrate his birthday anyway, so. But, I'm not one anymore, so, yeah, I still participate in festivities, but I'm not under no, thing like, oh my God, it's Jesus' birthday. Nah. I know the truth about that, but thank you very much for that. Let me see. Oh, by the way, Roger, man, happy birthday. I gave you a happy early birthday, but also a happy late birthday as well. Stomach virus on your birthday? Yikes. Sounds like I hope your toilet's okay. Oh, no. All right, let's get in here. Edward says, maximizing profits is what matters to the CEOs by exploiting the poor and working class. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Jacqueline, good to see you. She says, it's like, I don't want the workers to lose their jobs or suffer massive poverty, but this plant is making unhealthy food, and I'm sure all the cow-ish isn't good for the environment. And this is part of, there's no ethical consumption in capitalism. And at the same time, it's like, what if there were ethically sourced, independent, like cattle ranchers and other businesses in the surrounding area that hired all those people? Right? then you wouldn't be going through this. But the problem is that you have these corporations that are super massive and they take over an entire town. It's basically a company town. And that's the sad part. Ahmed Mohammed says, you are able to help me. Days go by without a donation. All I need is $200 to buy medicine for my sick mother. If you're interested in my mother's recovery, please leave a comment. I mean, look, if that's all it takes, then, everybody, if you're on Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment, say something very positive, try to make it more than 5 words under Ahmed Mohammed's post. Yeah. I'm very sorry, and I hope, your mother gets well. I'm guessing you might be in Gaza, and my heart goes out to all of you. Solidarity with you and whatever you guys are going through. The Zionism is ruining your land, and I'm very sorry about that. We're trying to change things in the Imperial Court here so that you guys won't have to suffer anymore over there. Thank you. Young Black Economist says, thanks for the stream. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Nice to have you here watching from the Twitter side. Or Terror Bird says, you really can't trust anyone a ton this day and age. Ooh. And the crazy part is a lot of people are untrusting of one another, but part of that is also because of what the corporations spend and they put out there, that we can't trust each other, when in reality it's the big corporations that we can't trust. But they try to project that onto everybody else so that we'll look at our neighbors and we won't have solidarity with them. It's really nefarious the way they do things. Roger says, this is where a right of first refusal comes in. When a company decides to pack up and leave, file for bankruptcy, go public, merge, and must first make an offer to workers to purchase the company. I thought it was right of first acceptance. You can probably correct me on that. Because I know I need to be educated on that a little bit more. But I know it's like either right of first refusal or first acceptance. I can't remember. But I think you corrected me on that before, Roger. But either way, I agree. Yeah. And then Roger says this, how can we trust someone who tried to get into the Better Business Bureau? A ban on states from regulating AI, which they are there to serve the boss and investor class to replace the working class. There's so much pushback from the public that Congress left it out of the big, beautiful bill. Sorry. How can we trust someone who tried to get into the big, beautiful bill, a ban on states from regulating AI? Oh, yeah. It says Trump just signed the executive order to do the same. This will be fought in the courts in the next few years. Remember, the Supreme Court of the United States is a states' rights court. It says, so the NAB... Oh, so Nebraska is a citizen ballot initiative state for amendments. They can do that. Yeah, definitely. Appreciate that. And Julia, I'm going to star your comment because I'm going to come back to this during that segment. That'll be my final segment for today. But that's a good point. Maddie says maybe Tyson is selling for a data center. That would be horrible. That would be absolutely horrible because everybody, their electric bill is going to skyrocket. That would be horrible. Lee Argent says, hey guys, good to see you, Lee Argent. Chris, Comrade Chris. That's it. That's your new name. Comrade Chris says Nicki Minaj doesn't surprise me. She operate. Oh, you know what? I'm going to start this. we'll get back to that because we're gonna be talking about Nicki Minaj. I'm gonna be reacting to her conversation. Hemp Car, good to see you, says Nicki. Oh, I'm gonna start that too. We're gonna save all the Nicki Minaj comments for when we talk about Nicki Minaj. Boy, it is going to be interesting. All right, guys. Here's what we're gonna do. All right, we're going to go, and first, what I want to do is I'm going to give a shout out to the patrons on Patreon, and then we will move on to our next story. But first, a big thank you. So, thank you so very much to all the patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, I would not be able to do this work. Here are the tiers here. All right, so we have Mega Jaybefaunters, Super Duper Jaybefaunters, Super Jaybefaunters, Jaybefaunters. Then we have Comrade, Solidarity, and JB members. And a big shout out to new member, Sean Rockers. Good to see you here. Thank you so very much for becoming a member on Patreon. Y'all keep the lights on all around here for me. Appreciate it very much. And thank you, by the way. Just to let you guys know, my channel is demonetized. So if you like to support the channel, you can support via Patreon or PayPal. So thank you so very much for that. Let's move on to the next story. So we're going to be talking. So we already talked about what's happening to Lexington workers. They are going to be losing basically by January 20th of 2026, which is in just about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But next, we're going to be talking about systemic oppression in schools. So we're going to be talking about this. This is a horrible story that happened to this student here. We're going to be getting into his story. And so, student wrongfully tased. This isn't an isolated incident. We're going to be getting into this right now. For Black people, especially in the United States, it goes without saying that when you're born and you exist within this country, you have a target on you at all times. And that target means that you're always thought of in others' minds as someone that is disruptive, that's dangerous, that is meant to be controlled, that's meant to be pushed down, that's meant to be suppressed out of this stereotypical view that people have in their heads of you, out of this prejudicial view that they have of you. And this also can happen. This mindset can also be prevalent in people who are in positions of authority, whether they be a bus driver, whether they be school administrators, whether they be a teacher, or whether they even be a police officer, even if they're Black. So I want to get into this because there was a story that came out recently of a young Black man. Let me correct my language. A young Black boy that was essentially harmed by a police officer on a school bus, and he didn't do anything wrong. Let's get into this. So I'm not going to be able to show this entire video due to YouTube guidelines. I'm going to show up to a certain point, and then I'm going to stop. But I just want you guys to get context of the beginning of what happens. So then we will talk about what exactly went down. So let me share this with you guys here. And I don't know if let me know if you guys have heard about the story in the chat, but this story is making its rounds, especially in the Black community. So this is from Gerald A. Griggs, which is one of the attorneys for this young person. This is a Fulton County high school student. Tased in the now viral video has hired national civil rights attorney Harry Daniels, according to a press release. Lanier Johnson Hunt, who is 18 years old, spoke to an Atlanta media following the incident Thursday. He said it all started because a new school bus driver who thought he didn't belong on the bus. When he refused to get off the bus, he said the school resource officer tased him multiple times. Now, take a look at the officer. The officer is a black man. And I'm going to say this as bluntly as I can. I don't care who says it, but they are wrong. People will say, well, if you want to change the system of policing, you need to go inside the system of policing as a black man to change it. No. Because guess what? Then you get spoons like this. That's who you get. You get the same kind of dude, but the same one that said, who this nigga on this nag? You get one of these. You get one of those. And now we got a house one. We got a house one right here. Willing to harm a young man. Him. Not even show him any dignity. Let's get into this. Trigger warning for people, by the way. But I'm not going to show the entire thing because I want to make sure that we go according to guidelines. But let's go here.
I got you, gang.
Are you going to get off? Or are you going to make me take my back? Come on.
Y'all a little too close to me.
So these kids got to go home. I'm not playing with you.
I'm trying to go home.
But you gonna ride this bus. Come on. Come on. Come on. Make this harder than what it is. Let's go, man. Say.
Why you trying to take that?
Cause you ain't getting up. Like I said, that's why.
So that's as far as I'm going to show. It gets worse. So much worse. Thankfully, he's still alive. Thankfully. But this young man was just trying to go home. Just trying to go home. And they escalate. Police will escalate when there's no need to. And it actually gets worse when you hear the young man recount everything that happened, not just on the bus, but everything that happened when he got off the bus. Let's get into this because it's bad, guys. It's so bad. So we're going to get to the press conference with the lawyers and this young man has to say, because ultimately I will believe him way more before I will believe cops. So make sure I get this to the right. Okay. Sorry, this was from a live stream. Okay.
Get my phone on.
Okay.
What was last Thursday, right? What was last Thursday? Okay. All right, good morning. Y'all ready? All right, good morning. My name is Harry Daniels. Along with myself, Attorney Gerald Griggs. We have the honor to represent Lanier Johnson Hunt. Also standing with us, his mother, Sharita Johnson Hunt. This morning we called this press conference one to allow Mr. Johnson Hunt to speak out, one, what transpired, what happened, and some of the misinformation has been provided in this matter. Let me say this, first and foremost, that Mr. Johnson Hunt, Lanier, was on the right school bus. It was a dereliction of duty from the adults who had a duty to, one, ensure that a student is on the correct bus, which he was, and for his safety. I know been a lot of echoing, like, why did he just get off the bus? And we're going to explain this morning why it was imperative for Lanier to go home. And one of the reasons is imperative for him to go home because he had an autistic little brother who was going to get home before him or right after him, and he had to be at home to meet his brother at home.
Oh, so it gets even worse. I told you it gets worse. So here you have an older brother trying to get home to his little brother, who is also autistic, to make sure that he's okay at home. And so this young man was just trying to get home. That's it. That's all. He was on the right bus. He was on the right bus. And he was told to get off the bus. Now, when you hear him recount the story, they did not know what the hell they were doing. The administrators, the police, they did not know what the heck they were doing. Let's continue this. This is a dumpster fire.
So it was imperative for him to get home, not just to get there, but to ensure the safety of his little brother. By the media, on social media, we want to put some context of what transpired. Now, one thing, Mr. Griggs will come and talk about this as well. We want to make sure that we very clear that we understand the position of listening to law enforcement, particularly when they give you an order or a command. Lanier understand that. But we equally want everybody to understand that you do not use excessive force against a child, especially in a situation such as this. The video speaks for itself. You see Mr. Lanier being, at one point, the officer having his hands around his neck, slamming him back into the seat, then using his taser in a drive stun mode, and that's when the taser actually is pressed to the body, and the probes actually burning sensations to the body. Lanier has burn marks on his throat and his chest. Matter of fact, Lanier, come here for a second. Don't be sure to. You zoom in on this. This is.
So let me ask you guys this, okay? Your kid goes to school, and then you get a call to pick up your kid at jail because they refused to get off the bus that they were supposed to be on to come home to take care of your autistic child and watch them. And then as soon as you encounter your kid who was doing the right thing, you see burn marks on them from the police. Now, let me ask you this one damn thing. How in the hell do you imagine his mother feels right now? If I was his mother, I'd probably be joining him in jail right now. I'd probably be sitting right next to him, because I would have went apeshit. Like, what? To my child? No, no, no. And he was doing the right thing. And whose fault was it that the bus driver didn't know who the hell he was? Because he's been riding that bus the entire time. And it could have been a bring. Hey, I had the student on my bus. I don't think he belongs on this bus. Can you guys get an administrator to check and see if this young man is supposed to be on this bus? They could have found his name, found the right bus. Oh yeah, this is this bus. Yeah, he's supposed to be on this bus going home. And then it would have been over. In the credits, let the credits roll. The show's over. That's all would have been taken. But instead, what did they do? They looked at him. That's all they did. They looked at him. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not going to hold any punches. I'm not going to use that word. But they saw a YN. That's what they saw. That's what they saw. They didn't see a young man that was being responsible and that was just trying to get home. In their head, they saw a YN. He might as well have had on a shiesty face covering, throwing up gang signs, and got a Glock on his hip. And they probably would have thought, oh yeah, that's exactly who we think he is. Not a responsible young person that was just trying to get home. And even the ones with shiesties that throwing up gang signs, I'll be honest with you, they deserve love and respect too. It's just the system failed them. I said what I said. Go cry to your big mama about it. I don't care. It's a system that failed them, but it fails on purpose. Let's continue on. This is wild.
This is the injuries that he sustained on his neck, going across his neck, and his chest. Area that's very sensitive, especially when electrical probes are located at. His heart is close by. We have incidents with people who have been tased or drive stunned that can cause a person to go into cardiac arrest. So we're talking about excessive force in an issue that could have easily been cleared up by an administrator checking the system. And his mom's gonna come back and talk about what transpired when what she was initially told and what actually transpired and what actually happened when she initially thought what happened, what she was told from the school administrators.
So that's a whole nother thing, right? We don't know the medical condition of this young person. Using a taser, using electric shock on him could have stopped his heart. If he would have died, we all be putting hashtag justice for Lanier. There'll be people out in the streets right now. Thank goodness that didn't happen to him, but it could have. He could have had an unknown heart condition. You never know. Man, I tell you.
But the most important thing we want to echo is that, and I say this and I echo this, I remember when I was in the military, and a drill sergeant would correct one person, and he would be she would be very loud. They wasn't loud because they was upset at the person for doing something wrong. They wanted everybody to hear. And we are here because we want everybody here, not just Fulton County, the state of Georgia, but the entire United States. This type of actions, conduct, excessive force will not and should not be tolerated. This is a child attending school who is simply trying to get home. simply trying to get home, using a chokehold, using a device to burn his body is excessive beyond excessive. Let's don't make no mistake about it. This is why we're here. Mr. Griggs, you want to come up and say something?
Gerald Griggs, GERALD, attorney. And we've been here too many times. Too many times we've seen the use of force by law enforcement on Black bodies in this state. And it has to stop. I echo what Attorney Daniels has said. I echo what our client is going to say in a few minutes. He was merely trying to get home and take care of his little brother. I mean, all over the place.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I think it said something about losing connection here. I don't know what happened. Let's continue on, though. My apologies. All right.
Before you encounter, the administration should have done more to check before having this encounter, because we know, and Harry knows this as well as I do, these type of situations turn deadly. And we are glad that we are here, not for a deadly encounter, because he's still here, but we are upset that we have to do this over and over and over and over again. So I want to be clear. This will not be tolerated in Fulton County, in the state of Georgia, in the United States. We've got to do better. And it starts right now. This young man was merely trying to go home. This young man was merely trying to take care of his family. This young man's injuries to his neck are atrocious. And so we want answers, we want accountability, but most importantly, we want this to stop. And so without further ado, I'm gonna turn it back over to Attorney Daniels, and I'm sure you will hear from our client and his mother shortly.
All right, thank you, Gerald.
So I'm going to skip forward because the lawyer speaks and he ties it back to Rosa Parks being on the bus and things like that. But I want to get the recount of what the mother says, because what she says also is important. So let me. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just wanted to speak on the situation of when I first received the phone call from administration, how they tried to play a completely different narrative. They called me and told me Lanier was on the bus trying to fight the police officer. He was actually on the wrong bus. They couldn't get him off the bus.
You heard what they said? They lied on him. They said he was on the wrong bus. They said he was trying to fight the police officer. I don't know how you fight a police officer just lying in the corner, up in the cut, just, right? I don't understand how that's fighting. How is that fighting? You see what I mean? See how they lie on him? School to prison pipeline. That's exactly what this is. Let's let the mama continue. And by the way, before I let her continue, hang on one more second. Imagine that if she's working, excuse me, that means that's time that she has to take off. Number one, to get her kid because of what the police did, because of what the administrators did. Number one. Number two, now she also has to attend this press conference and deal with these lawyers, and she needs to work. It's crazy. So now they have to maneuver their life around this?
They said that he gave the wrong name. Long story short, none of those things were true. He was on the correct bus. They never asked him his name. They asked another student what his name was. He was not combative. No, he didn't get off the bus after the second time because they lit them off and put them back on the bus. No, he did not get off, but
wait a minute. So he got off the bus the first time, and then they let him back on the bus, and then now they try to take him off the bus again. If he's not the right student, then why you let him back on the bus? And then on top of it, how are you going to ask another student what his name is? Why don't you just ask him? Also, maybe it's just me, but I know, especially after Columbine happened back in the 90s when I was in high school, because I graduated in 2002. When I graduated high school, all throughout high school, what did we have to have back in high school? And we got in trouble? A student ID. Absolutely. So guess what? They could have said, let's take a look at your student ID. They could have got he didn't even have to answer. All they had to do was look at his student ID. Like, what's your student ID? What's your student ID number? All right, put that in. Oh, it matches up with who was supposed to be on this bus. All right, well, hey, ma'am, sorry, no problem here. He's trying to get home. But they didn't do that. They didn't. School to prison pipeline, man. It's a vicious cycle, y'all.
I just don't feel it. Tasing him in his chest was the correct thing to do. Like, not at all.
You know, when I saw this video, I didn't, I'm going to say it's not aching to.
So here he goes into talking about Rosa Parks and the how it kind of relates to something like that. I'm going to skip over that part, but I want to get to Lanier's statement. So let's get into this. He's a kid.
You tell him what happened?
I know it was just like a normal day of school. I was just trying to get home, get on the bus. Told me that I was supposed to be on the bus. Today she gonna make sure I'm gonna get off the bus. So once I sit down, she pull up to the administrators. The administrators get on the bus. And they automatically thought I was on the wrong bus. They just, when she told them my name, they got on the bus and just told me to get off the bus. At first I refused. And then when I was refusing, they said, if I don't get off the bus, all the students have to get off the bus. So once all the students got up off the bus, I got off the bus with the students. And then as soon as we all get off the bus, they didn't check nobody's names. They just told everybody to get back on the bus.
A what? They didn't even check everybody's name. They just got him off the bus, put him back on. You see how this is weird? Why are they moving that way? Why is the administrators moving that way?
As I get back on the bus, they told me to get off. And that's when they called the officers. When I sit down, the officers had came on the bus. They asked who was the student they was talking about. And the bus driver had pointed me out. They came back. They asked me to get off the bus. I had refused and told them I was trying to tell them this is my bus, but the students was telling them that this is my correct bus. All the students on the bus was telling them this was my correct bus.
So not only was he on the correct bus, But all the fellow students jumped in and said, he rides this bus. Mind you, we're now in winter break. So we are, what is it? School started what? Late August? So we're now in the 4th month of school. 4 months. 4th month. And you mean to tell me they would know who rides the bus by then? By the time after Thanksgiving, you know who rides which bus. And they're all saying, hey, yeah, he rides the bus. Also, just from another student's perspective, they were probably tired as hell. They've been at school all day. School starts way too early for high schoolers. That's a whole nother conversation because high school actually should not be starting that early anyway because it's too damn early. The circadian rhythm is off because their hormones are activated through the pituitary gland. And then on top of that, now you're sticking them around longer than what they should be. They're on a bus, and now you're trying to figure out if this kid rides the bus or not. They just want to get home. And y'all holding up the entire bus just for one child. And it should be obvious that he goes to that school because he most likely has a student ID if you checked. And if you checked if he had a student ID, then you would know, okay, maybe he has the wrong bus. Maybe he does go to the school, but maybe he has the wrong bus. So there's no issue of security there because he is a student. But then all you guys had to do was radio in and see, hey, is he on the right bus? And I would assume 4 months into the school year that student would know what bus he's supposed to be taking. So if you told me this in late August, early September, I'd probably be able to give them just a little bit more grace. But by the time it's December in the school year, no. They don't get no grace. Cops don't get no grace no ways anyway. It's ACAB all day over here anyway. The fuck? These guys are just, oh my gosh, man. And this is part of the school to prison pipeline, how they're treating this young person.
Damn, out of nowhere, one of the officers had said, if you don't get up and get off the bus or we're going to tase you. I said, I still refuse to get off the bus. And that's when they tried to pull me and grab me. And when I got back up, when I got back up, he had choked me, tried to choke me, then he tased me. And when he tased me, I got up. I was still, I don't know, my adrenaline was just rushing. And I just know that he tried to tase me again while I was getting off the bus. I jumped off the bus. And when I was off the bus, they put me in some handcuffs. And the officer who tased me had started slapping me while my hands was in the handcuffs.
Did you hear what he just said? While he was cuffed, the cops started slapping him. You had 2 black male police officers. Now they're slapping him while he's cuffed. Black cops are blue first and black second. They do not give a damn about their own people. I said what I said. ACAB all day. I don't care what color you are. Look, get out of here with that. There is no changing a white supremacist system from the inside, especially with their black asses. Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And so they're doing this to this young person. And they decide not only did they tase him multiple times, but they tried to choke him and they also slapped him while he was detained. How are we Black Americans, especially in this country, how are we seen by School, anybody in authority, school administrators, teachers, bus drivers, bus monitors, police officers, especially school resource officers. Those of you who live in another country that's watching me right now, do they have police patrolling your schools? They do here in the United States. We call them school resource officers, and they're especially abundant in Black and brown schools, especially in more underserved, poorer neighborhoods. Trust me, I grew up with them. In elementary school, we had school resource officers. And you can find videos here in the United States where school resource officers are also either zip tying or handcuffing little children in elementary schools. Guess what? It happens here. So when people from other countries go, oh my God, America's such a hellhole. You're damn right it is, because it's the authoritarian system. So people, please don't come to me and be like, oh my God, this country's authoritarian, that country's authoritarian. Baby, this country's authoritarian. And who is the authority that pushes authoritarianism? It is the corporations. You're under corporate authority and rule and totalitarianism. That's exactly what we live under. So he got tased, choked, slapped, burned, threatened. So we already got assault and battery. We got all this under a Black police officer. Lord have mercy, I tell you. These people get on my damn nerves.
Slapped me, then he tried to tase me again while my hands was in the handcuffs. That's when the administrators came back outside and tried to break it up. But he was already in the midst of slapping me. When they broke it up, he was still running towards me. He was still trying to attack me while my hands was in handcuffs. He was trying to push against the administrators who was holding him back every time he seen me. When I was in the room with the other officers after this situation, when he seen me, he tried to attack me again. They had to pull him back and pull him away to cool down. But
that's a thug. That's a thug with a badge. You want to know why we talk about defunding the police? Because they're always abusing the people. There ain't even no allegations to beat because it's all there in front of you in 4K. This is why we say defund the police. This is why we need to rethink public safety. Because as long as you got dudes like this around, ain't nobody safe. I'm sick and tired of it. Your kids are not safe in these schools with these dudes, these thugs with badges and guns. If I told you that your school was being overran by gangs and they walk around your hallways with guns strapped, how would you feel? But yet, because they got a badge and a majority of them are white, oh my God, they're doing what's good for our community. Until they burn, choke, and slap your kid. Then maybe you start to wise up. And now you got everybody and their mama in the comments on Twitter going, well, he should have just complied. When he was already doing the right thing in the first place. And he had to get home to his little brother. They should have just checked in the system. All they had to do was check in the system. They could have did an emergency contact phone call to the mother. Is he on the right bus?
When I was in the back room, they called the EMS. The EMS had checked me out and told them that I needed to go to Grady. And they said, no, I'm not going to Grady. I'm going to Rice Street. But the EMS told them, even if I go to Rice Street, I'm gonna still have to go to Grady first. So they volunteered, the officers volunteered to take me to Grady. And I did not go to Grady that whole day. I went straight to a police station, and they held me in the police station until they had gave me a ticket and sent me back home to my mother.
So they never took him to get checked out by medical professionals. Never took him. They held him at a police station, suffering from those burns. Never got checked out to make sure he's okay. That's cops in America. That's who they are.
All right, so
let me they ask him a couple of questions as well. And by the way, the autistic sibling is only 6 years old.
Boys, like we have.
Hang on, let me make sure I get back to the beginning. All right.
Months ago, we had like a month or two ago, and she liked to pick on the boys. We feel like we realized she be picking on the boys. Like,
he's talking about the bus driver, by the way.
We have other situations of people who's supposed to ride the bus, and she had them get off the bus. Like,
so you had ridden on that bus with that driver repeatedly prior to that?
Yes, sir.
And let me stop for a second. And that's why, let's go back to his question. So I such an anomaly. He was just on the bus. He rode the bus. So I'm the question as to whether the bus driver have a memory issue. You know, if she is a female bus driver.
Yes, sir.
If that's the case, she should not be driving children. If you can't remember from the day before a child get on your bus from the next day, you know, so that's a great question you asked. So we don't understand why did she assume that he didn't supposed to be on that bus. We just rode the bus.
This is probably a better question for the district, but it seems to verify that would be, I would imagine you have a roster of names and who goes on bus A, B, C, D, E. I mean, what happened between the time the bus driver said you shouldn't be on it to the mess that went there?
Well, I think that is a great question for the district, but my response is nothing. They didn't do their job. They could have easily checked. And the bus, to my understanding, the school bus is like an extension of the classroom. You know, who's supposed to be on this bus, you know, because you got to ensure child safety, the safety of the children get back and forth to school. So, you know, that could have easily been verified. It was verified at mom that he was on the right bus. It could have been verified the day of and would have not been here today. Next question.
Well, how old are you?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Here you go. I'm trying to be fair to the women and everybody out here. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir. How's the king? He's 6 years old. So he's, even if he wasn't have autism, he's not old enough to be at home by himself. So his big brother would go and make sure he was okay at home. Hey, go ahead.
So that makes sense as well, right? Because high school gets out somewhere around 2-ish, except for on Wednesdays, they get home around like 1-ish, right? 2:30-ish. And then elementary school typically gets out around 3. So you have the older sibling that gets home for the younger sibling. So that makes sense, right? And then on top of that, the younger sibling is only 6 and he's autistic. So this is why this is such an important story, because of what happened to that young man shouldn't be happening, but this is all a part of the system that we live in. I want to share this as well because I wanted to make sure I got this correct. But does Georgia have qualified immunity? The answer is yes. Does Georgia recognizes qualified immunity for government officials, especially law enforcement, protecting them from personal liability in civil lawsuits unless they violate clearly established constitutional rights, a standard often difficult to meet, meaning they are generally shielded if acting within their job scope and not knowingly break the law. Though the state has its own sovereign immunity laws, it also limits suits against the government. So even if, let's say, the mom wanted to sue for damages, it could be the physical, also for lost wages, because she had to probably leave work in order to be able to get her son, and also to be able to go through, doing these press conferences and dealing with lawyers. She cannot personally hold cops like that liable for what they did in a professional capacity, even though he was being abusive and he violated the rights of this young man. So because of that, qualified immunity still exists. Qualified immunity also exists for other government employees. This would also include the bus driver. This would also include the school administrators, because they are also government employees. And choked, tased, burned, slapped, and verbally abused by a police officer, what can happen to him? From so far, the story I read in the article was that he was just taken off of duty out in the field, pretty much. And that's all they do, just until things die down and they put him back out there. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. I want to share this as well, because this is something that a lot of people do not regard, but this is also a very important piece that I also want to bring out here too. This is an article talking about racial inequality in public schools, right? So, key takeaways here. Okay, it says Black students tend to experience harsher disciplinary measures at higher rates than their peers in public schools in the United States. Black students are 4 times more likely to experience suspension than their white peers. By the way, Lanier was also suspended from school for doing the right thing. He's under suspension. So that's that. Says the next one says, because strong disciplinary measures can negatively impact individual student outcomes, racial inequality in school discipline perpetuates larger racial inequities in economic and educational achievement. This is going to go on his record if he wants to go to college. So now we're getting the economic part of the situation. The economic part of the situation means that if this is on his record, then colleges may look at this and go, oh, we may have a problematic student, when in reality, he did nothing wrong. It's crazy. And so now they're setting him up economically to have a life with more difficulty. Next one. Recent increases in zero tolerance policies and school security are associated with increased rates of discipline for Black students. And the fourth one, if implemented consistently, alternative disciplinary measures for students and training programs for teachers could help decrease the disproportionate rate of Black students experiencing school discipline. So this is exactly what happens to so many of students. Prevalence of behaviors by race. It talks about white students versus Black students. Marijuana use is higher among white students. Smoking is higher among white students by far. Alcohol consumption is higher than Black students. The only one that's higher than white students is fighting. But the question is, why are they fighting? Could it be that somebody's getting messed with, right? It depends. You don't talk about kids that are bullied. Suspension rates over time by race. 1972, Black students got 11.8% compared to 6% for white students. 2013, it's even more drastic. White students only had 3.4%, versus Black students got 15%. So the gap widened. And then racial bias of teachers and administrators. I'm going to tell you something right now, and some people are going to get mad, but it is what it is. If your kid comes home and and they say, "Man, my teacher's so racist," you need to believe them at least a good 85% of the time. At least. If your teacher, if you encounter your kid coming home and saying, "Man, my teacher don't like me," you might want to look into that. You might want to look into that. Because, look, some of these teachers are not as professional as they point out they are, as people think that they are. Sometimes they can be trifling too. And white supremacy and racism and all these other different, including the Black ones, because some of them can have internalized white supremacy too. They can be spoons too. And I'm saying spoons because the word I want to say rhymes with spoons, but you get my point. So that's the thing. This is part of the school to prison pipeline, because now you're setting them up more likely to be put and being incarcerated. And this is why it is so important for us equip our kids and let them know exactly how the system works. And this is why it's important to change the system, because it's about not just changing the system overall for us, but it's also about protecting the kids. Sometimes your kid's biggest bully isn't a student. Sometimes at the school. So you also have to worry about them. But prepare your kids. Try to equip them with the tools to be able to navigate. Of course, teach them to be respectful, but also teach them to not tolerate disrespect. Tell them to be kind and cordial and respectful, but at the same time, have them use their voice. And check in. But this also means having a good relationship with your kid. So parents. So I'm hoping the best for Lanier. You know, it sucks all around. get some type of repair and justice for what he's endured. Keep an eye on your kids, guys. Go ahead and like the stream. Thank you so very much. Let's get into the chats here. Let me check to see. I'm going to share this in the chat really quick because I think this is a good one. There's an article about kids in school, how they're treated, you know, in the system. I hope you guys are able to use that as a resource too. But let's see. All right. Let me go to the kick. All right, looks like we're good on the kick chat. All right. All right, let's go into the rest of this chat here. Okay, so Edward says, I hope those cops serve jail time for their crimes. My heart goes out to that young man who was trying to get home. Jacqueline says a lot of financial compensation wouldn't go amiss and would be well deserved. I agree. Agreed. Holly says fighting the officer, propaganda. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Let me see. Yep. Lee Arjun says exactly, blue first all the way. Yep. Roger Meadow says if qualified immunity was abolished and you can get them at police pensions, then police would have been like, I'm not touching him. Quick, call his dad. Yep. Absolutely. Hit him where it hurts, right in the wallet. Agreed. Leroy says foreign policy impacts local policy. Good day, comrades. Good to see you, Leroy. Appreciate it. Let me see here. Rondo is up in the house. Good to see you, Rondo. All right. Okay. So let's get into the final segment, guys. But before I do that, I want to share this really quick because let me see. I want to share that. Let's see. My third episode for my new podcast channel has premiered. So I just want to share with you guys this. So if you guys ever want to go to my podcast channel, this one is not just politics focused. It's focused on many different things. I actually talked to filmmakers on this one. So if you guys want to, you guys can go here. And this is my talk with Right Brain Studios. So welcome to the Kind Connections podcast, a safe place to be curious. My name is Jaybefaunt. It's so good to see all of you guys here joining me today. My next guest that I'll be speaking with are actually two people who I have developed a very cordial, friendly, and camaraderie relationship with. They are filmmakers, they are activists, and they have been doing wonderful work, especially in the space in regards to art and bringing forth really the messages that we should take note of and resonate with us as human beings. All right, and so let me go here to the middle so you guys can see some parts of the conversation.
They wrote like 5 articles about it. Just like they did not like Jaybefaunt because he was doing what they should have been doing better. If you're the country that is colonizing Algiers, you should be making the movies about Algiers, but not the one that I think didn't he make one? But it's like, you know, Godard, but it's all pretentious-y, and it's like you just made it harder to read a movie that could have been telling some serious truth. You did the worst version of it, and I didn't hear Gino Portacover make one book about you. Like you're writing, like they all thrashed this guy like brutally for making one of the greatest anti-imperialist, anti-colonial films ever.
That guy, even though it was docudrama, he took out all the stylized academic.
It looks like a documentary. It looks real.
And you question, I mean, and they do weave in some archival footage, like big crowd scenes and riots and stuff. But the actors, I think the French colonel is like an actor. He's the anchor. Like they needed the villain to be someone who could hold the screen in a certain way. But everyone else is like, they're not actors, they're local people.
Well, to go off that, if we look at the world like the world when we're asleep, it's like they live where you put the glass on, you see the real world. So movies, everything's movies, cinemas, and then when you put the glass on, you're looking in a cinema sense where you're looking into things more. You start to really see like how these kind of things are unfolding, and you start to see what these like movements in film, when you put the glass on, they're not really movements, they're more like schools of thought. They're like psychological branches of like, if you do these techniques, it's been established that you're going to get this effect from it. If you do it right, and these are the people that have built it.
Alchemy.
If you it's an alchemical amalgamation. And I will say this, cinema is a cultural echo, to quote Hegel, of the world, which is why if you watch movies, good movies, even bad ones, you'll learn more about history than you will from a book, because books are written usually by astute, scholarly, upper crust, or powerful people. And cinema was made by, so despite needing a camera, you'd be surprised what people will do to get a camera back then. People have risked their life. People like Herzog have broken into esteemed colleges where they could have got life and time in jail and stolen them. People have, there's people do anything. You've seen the poorest countries like Palestine, even while being bombed back in the 50s, with no ability to get technology, still made movies.
All right, so that is I put the link for that. All right, guys. So let's get into the final segment. That was a great conversation. That was awesome. Okay. So, of course, we already talked about Lexington workers in Lexington, Nebraska. They are about to lose out big by January 20th next year. We also talked about systemic oppression in schools, but now, oh, Jesus Christ, we're about to get into this. This one's going to be more lighter hearted, but yeah, we got to talk about Nicki Minaj because this is pretty sad. We're going to get into that. I'm just trying to make sure I have everything set up. Okay. Just trying to make sure that I don't have I'm trying to make sure that I don't have any copyright issues here. But they're all like this. They're all like this. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that as we go into MAGA Minaj. I wish there was some alcohol in this, but it's just water. Hydrate yourselves, y'all. Nicki Minaj is in the news now, and this is where pop culture and politics converge into a dumpster fire. Yes, we're going to be getting into that, but I'm also going to get into why you shouldn't be surprised about Nicki Minaj. What she did really is just what some celebrities do. And some of us who may be watching are guilty of the same thing, but just on the other side. So let's get into this. Nicki Minaj came out to talk to Erika Kirk, and it is going, yikes. So, guys, this is, she came out to pyrotechnics and giving salutes and stuff. Cheers. Let's go.
Hi. Hello, how are you?
So those of you who know, Charlie was very good about having a surprise for every AmFest. And we are so blessed to have you. We are so grateful. I mean,
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. I am honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
love you guys. So we're just gonna dive right into this. You had some fun words for Governor Newsom. I have to read these tweets because they're amazing. And
hang on, let me just go back for a second. I want to cover something really quick because this is gonna be hilarious, guys. Hang on.
I mean,
thank you. I'm honored to be here. I am honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Love you guys.
Because I want to share something with you guys really quick before Nicki really says anything, because this is hilarious seeing that TPUSA is a Charlie Kirk outlet and organization, because lest we forget what Charlie Kirk actually said about Nicki Minaj. Let's go.
Right now, Black culture is being held. I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on a second. I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old Black girls. I don't think that songs that are talking about like glorifying wet female genitalia is exactly, I don't know which one wrote that song. Which one was it?
I think it was Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But by the way, the role models of the 1940s and 50s for Black America were completely different.
So it is a representation issue.
Hold on a second. No, not representation. It's who do you get your art from? It's what values are they putting forward? It's the question of every day. For example, more times than not, Black politicians will lament the condition of America. It's systemically racist. It's terrible. What does that do to a 14-year-old Black kid if you just find that you hear that everything is rigged against you? Instead, they should be saying, hey, there might be some barriers, but if you believe in yourself enough, you can achieve in this country.
Like Lanier did when he got tased by police officers on a school bus recently. Anyway, it's kind of funny how they talk about, well, we don't want these, young Black girls to be influenced by Nicki Minaj. Meanwhile, you got Fergie talking about she's Fergalicious up in the gym just working on her fitness. She's my witness. You know what I'm saying? It's just, they do the same thing. It's just, come on now. Anyway, but that's how Charlie Kirk actually thought about Nicki Minaj. And so now that he's no longer with us, now she's on the stage with his widow. Let's get into this.
You had some fun words for Governor Newsom. I have to read these tweets because they're amazing and they are so funny. Okay, first one, we'll do this one. Unless you want to read it in your own voice, I think it'd be really great. Okay.
Oh, Gabby Poo. It only gets worse from here for you, buddy. It's the end of the road for you, my love. Get on the nearest jet ski and let that beautiful hair blow in the wind. It'll make you happier than this race that you will not win. Enjoy life. Peace.
Okay, okay. One more.
Why not? Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Not even a trans would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav. The Gav nots. Gav not in. Gav out. Send in the next guy. I'm bored.
Okay, so I'm reading this. It says because I asked if Nicki Minaj actually lives in California because I know she's from New York. It says yes, Nicki Minaj lives in California. Her primary residence is a large modern farmhouse in the exclusive Hidden Hills neighborhood of Los Angeles, which she purchased in late 2022 for $19.5 million. She had previously rented luxury homes in the LA area, including Calabasas, where the Kardashians live, and Beverly Hills before buying her own place in Hidden Hills. And okay, she got a modern farmhouse. It's 8 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms, resort-style saltwater pool, guest house, and expansive indoor-outdoor living spaces. Now, here's my thing. I am not defending Gavin Newsom whatsoever because I'm going to tell you right now, Gavin Newsom is a ghoul. He is a ghoul with slick back hair. And I'm going to tell you right now, Gavin Newsom also deserves all the vitriol he can get. But I'm going to tell you right now that this is, you know how we say real recognizes real? Well, all right, let's continue. This is going to be fun.
So I'm just gonna let you riff. Like Mr. Newsom.
Dear Newscum, we don't have a problem cleaning up the scum. That's what I would say to Gabby Poo.
So with regard to the current administration, maybe the biggest surprise for you or something that you just really has been put on your heart that you've learned about our president and our vice president?
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. So many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact.
So, you see how she worded that, though? It's quote unquote beat the bad guys. This is the problem with, first of all, this is the problem with people who are not politically, and this is the problem with people who do not have, who have not really delved deep into what the United States has done. This isn't cops and robbers. This is propaganda that has been, not propaganda, the brainwashing that has been pushed on us, as always thinking that we are the good guys and they are the bad guys. Ma'am, you are living in the Death Star. You're living in the Death Star. And no matter which party's in power, they're all ruled by the same emperor. It doesn't matter. So going, left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, Nicki Minaj is leading you down a path of idiocy because she's making you believe that there's one side of the political spectrum that's the good guy versus the other side of the political spectrum that's the bad guy. When in reality, it's not. And who's at the top? It's this lady that lives in Hidden Hills in a $19.5 million mansion in California. Nicki Minaj is looking out for her class. She's not looking out for us. She's not looking out for you. She's not looking out for the barbs. She's looking out for her own damn self. And it ain't that deep. She's just trying to make some more coin. That's basically it. The barbs are a means to an end, and that end means her. That's basically all it is. It is not for any type of real liberation or salvation of anybody. So she will try to say, I'm doing to do this because we're being harmed because of our beliefs. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is the same excuse that Americans in the West and people in the West would say, well, they hate us because of our way of life. No, they hate you because you keep bombing them and taking their shit. That's basically what it is. Let's be real. All right. This is why the world hates the United States. Wait, what is that? What is that in the Ten Commandments? You must not covet another man's land, house, money, wife, mule, all that stuff. Disobeying the Ten Commandments. You thought that leading imperialism and becoming a tool of imperialism is actually going to make you somewhat acceptable?
He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, you know, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never going to come back from it, but you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly. Having to constantly, it's not really that funny until you'll never understand what it feels like. That person is a human being. They have a family who has to read those lies. And that's not, and it's just not fair. But this administration is full of people with heart and soul of them. Our vice president, he makes me, well, I love both of them, but they're both powerful men, smart, strong, all of that. But
hang on. You remember how Nicki Minaj said that she is tired of being lied on. I'm going to share with you guys something, because the thing is, it's like, are you tired of people lying on you, or are you tired of people telling the truth about you, Nicki? Because this is out of Variety magazine. It says Nicki Minaj and her husband, Kenneth Petty, were accused in a lawsuit on Friday of intimidating a woman who says Petty sexually assaulted her in 1994 and of trying to bribe the woman to recant her story. Jennifer Huff filed have repeatedly reached out to her and to her family, trying to get her to issue a statement denying that the sexual assault occurred. She also states that one associate came to her house and offered her $20,000 to sign a document recanting the allegation and offered to have Minaj send a happy birthday video to her daughter. Like, that's really going to impress anybody. Bullshit. But it said the suit also seeks to hold Petty accountable for the 1994 sexual assault using New York State Child Victims Act. The act, signed into law in 2019, opened a 2-year look-back window, allowing victims of child sex abuse to file lawsuits that otherwise would fall outside the statute of limitations. The deadline to file such lawsuits is Saturday, and New York courts have been flooded with such claims in recent days. So it says, according to the suit, Huff was 16 years old when she encountered Petty at a bus stop in Queens, New York. She alleges that he accosted her with a knife and led her to a nearby house where he forcibly sexually assaulted her, according to the suit. Petty, who was also 16, was quickly arrested and charged and later accepted a plea deal to a count of attempted sexual assault. In a recent resurfaced 2018, when Petty began dating Minaj, the global superstar, after posting a photo of herself with Petty, Minaj responded to comments about his past conviction. Kenny was 15, she was 16, and in a relationship, but go off internet. In a subsequent radio appearance, Minaj claimed that Petty was falsely accused and falsely stated that Huff had written a letter recanting her statement. In March 2020, Minaj called Huff and offered to fly her to Los Angeles, according to the suit. She also offered to send her a publicist to meet Huff and craft a statement recanting the sexual assault charge. The suit alleges Huff declined and told Minaj, "I need you to know, woman to woman, that this happened." However, she alleges that other intermediaries continued to contact her, including an attorney who offered legal advice on how to recant her statement. She alleges that she was repeatedly contacted over the ensuing months and felt harassed and threatened. She moved 3 times in the space of a few months and changed her phone number, according to the suit. According to the complaint, she has not worked in more than a year and is suffering from depression and paranoia. The suit accuses Petty of sexual assault and Petty and Minaj of witness intimidation and harassment. So that's what she means by lying on her. Let's continue, shall we?
But both of them have a very uncanny ability to be someone that you relate to. I can relate to them. When I hear them speak, I know that they're one of us. Like, I know that they're not. Don't you guys agree? They haven't lost touch of the world. You know, they're still connected to the world and what's happening in the world, with the younger people and older people, with the richer people and not so rich people.
Oh, that's a damn lie.
They have
with the rich people and the not so rich people. She can't even say poor people. Nicki, say poor people. Say broke people. Say it, Nicki. Say it. Say it, Nicki. Say it. You can't even say it because you know it's a lot. Girl, you are lying through them porcelain veneers. Let me tell you. You can't even say it. Jesus Louise, I'm telling you. These rich folks are delusional.
have the ability to still connect and be real and make us feel proud to be American.
So why now have
I
you?
mean, I thought she was proud to be Trinidadian, but okay, go off.
Have you been involved with speaking about politics? What was kind of the turning point for you? Yeah.
What was the turning point? Well, I just got tired of being pushed around.
Like you did to your husband's alleged victim? Or was it your brother's alleged victim? I can't remember. Lord, Lord.
Sometimes you just get tired of it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I have something inside of me that's stronger than what's out there. That's right. So when you've had enough, you realize, wait a minute, why do I even care about these people and what they think? Who are they? They don't even know who they are.
But you're tweeting.
So
Let me stop.
I'm not going to back down.
Okay.
Can the students in the room raise your hand? Wow. This question is for you guys. So you guys are very courageous and bold on your campus. Nicki, I know our students feel this way, but why do you think speaking your mind has become so controversial?
Because people no longer are using their minds, their brains. So right now, just imagine we're not allowed to have a different opinion anymore. We're not allowed to think out loud anymore. We're not this is not what the world used to feel like. And especially for the young people, I don't want them growing up in a world where they feel like that. I mean, they deserve for their voices to be heard. They have valid feelings and they're thinking about things, and it deserves attention. You know, we should listen to what they're saying. And if you're growing up in a world that tells you it's taboo to say something that the masses don't agree with, that's not okay. And
so you're going to condemn all those people from being fired and expelled for talking about Charlie Kirk then? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to call for them to be reinstated? You're going to make sure that they put back in a good gracious society? Or you're going to recount the statements and say that President Trump should allow them to be able to say whatever they want to say because we have a country that's built on free speech? It's like the jokes write themselves. My God. This is too easy. Too easy.
we're not gonna have it. And I love this. It's giving the younger people confidence that they will need later on in life. You guys will need it, and you will have it. So I'm rooting for you.
Amen. Amen. Again, Charlie would always say, it really does not take skill to be courageous. It takes a choice. It takes a decision. And I want to say again, thank you for coming and being courageous and being able to share your heart with us. And the reason why that also holds true sentiment-wise is because I know that you are getting a lot of backlash from your own industry. What is your reaction to that?
I didn't notice.
Amen. I feel the same way. When people are like, what do you think about them? I'm like, I don't think about them.
Bingo. We don't even think about them.
We don't have time to. We're too busy building, right?
Yeah, we're the cool kids.
Okay.
The other people, they're the ones who are still just disgruntled, but really they're just disgruntled with themselves. They are angry with themselves, you guys. So you can't wake up and think about something. I literally tell them, stay mad.
Amen.
Stay mad. Because we're going to stay joyful,
yep,
and peaceful and iconic and smart. Yes. And we're going to stay thinkers. In a world that doesn't want us to think, we will think.
Is this why they're pushing to shut down TikTok? And the person who actually proposed that the first time was actually Donald Trump. And then the Democrats were like, yeah, let's do that. Is that what you mean? Nicki, this is too easy. I mean, you're literally sitting across from a woman that pretty much almost damn near danced on stage like Diddy did after Biggie Smalls died. Oh my gosh. All she needed to do was just twirl on the stage while dancing in white.
By ourselves, on our own, we will continue to think.
Oh boy. You know what's funny about this whole thing? Here's the funny part about this. Here you have, when it comes to the lifestyle, the dress, the lyrics, everything that Nicki Minaj has done ever since the mid 2000s until now. Because I remember when Nicki Minaj first made her first appearance, right? I remember watching Monique's show on BET, and she came on with the whole crew of Young Money. She was an unknown. The only person on that stage that I knew of besides Lil Wayne was Drake, aka Aubrey Graham. Because I was like, what is Aubrey Graham doing with them? And he was like, oh, I'm Drake. What? You're the kid from Degrassi. What the hell? Anyways, so that's when I first saw Nicki Minaj, right? And so in all the years that she's been putting out the music and the style and the lyrics and all these things, right? The same people that are sitting there, yay, yay, cheering for her, thought she was trash last year. They didn't like her. But because she's willing to play the partisan game, oh, you're one of us now. Because they have that partisan thinking. We gotta go up against these libs. And then the liberals do the same thing. Oh, we gotta go against these rabid white wingers. And these billionaires and multimillionaires are laughing right in front of your face. A lot of these kids who are in college, they ain't making that much money. And now you got two rich people on stage giggling to themselves and feeding you a whole bunch of slop because they don't give a damn about you. And it's the same thing as a Democrat event. Same damn thing. This is why I say Nicki is not the only one. She is not the first, and she damn sure won't be the last. Because how many people were standing when somebody like a Cardi B or a Beyonce or an Eminem were on stage with a Kamala Harris. Same thing. Same thing. People be like, oh, no, this is different. No, baby. This is the same thing. This is partisan politics. That's what keeps you in the system. She's just trying to secure the bag, baby. That's all it is. You don't think Beyonce was trying to do the same thing? Yes, she was. They all are. Look, baby, it's about making the money first, and then everything else comes next after that. She's doing basically the thing. She's just doing it because she knows, because she heard the polls, how, you know, a little bit more Black Americans particularly have voted for Trump last election. And so she was like, okay, I'm going to ride that train. Also, I mean, technically in her career, it kind of feels like she's sundowning now because she's getting into fights with damn near everybody. She was talking about, oh my goodness, all these people are so angry. Ma'am, have you seen your Twitter lately? Miss Nikki, I think you need to get some counseling, boo. I'm sorry. I'm getting my flamboyant self out right now. But ma'am, are you okay? Because I don't think you are. Because you have been going on tirades. Maybe you need to take a vacation and just unplug. Also, let me make another observation here. But where in this conversation so far have we heard anything regarding policy? We didn't hear anything about actual policy. It's just vibes. Oh my God, let me go sit with my sister Erika Kirk and talk about vibes. It's just vibes all day. Miss Nikki, I'm going to tell you something that maybe you don't know or maybe you forgot, but vibes don't pay the rent. Vibes don't give people jobs. Vibes don't end wars. Vibes don't give people education. Okay? That's not what it does. Vibes ain't going to help us do nothing. And you're just talking about vibes. What actual policy is really going to help the American people? And now you're going to hear her say a little bit later, she's going to be talking about, she's going to touch on a culture war issue, but that's all they got. That's all they got. So it's not actually about helping the American people. It's to try to keep one particular part of the American populace in a bubble so that they think it's us versus them. This is what Nicki Minaj is. This is the game she's playing. But guess what? There's a lot of celebrities that also play that game on the Democrat side too. They both play this game. If Nicki Minaj was sitting next to a Democrat at a liberal event, how many people will be giving this story this much attention? Because it would be expected of her because she's in the entertainment business, and also she's a Black woman. But because she's not a Black woman, I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. But because she's a Black woman, but she's at a MAGA / conservative event, now it's, oh my God, I can't believe she did this. And then she also made it seem like she was down with the LGBTQ people when in reality she wasn't. And please don't sit here and go, oh, but Cardi B, she's down with the LGBTQ people. Ma'am, she just came back from Saudi Arabia. If you want to talk totalitarian, look at Saudi Arabia. Okay? It's illegal to be gay in Saudi Arabia. So no, she don't get cool points for that. She can voice, oh my God, I have solidarity with the LGBTQ community, but it's like, ma'am, you just went to Saudi Arabia. What's next, Tel Aviv? Anyways, so that's my point. But yeah, the whole thing with Nicki Minaj, man, I don't even want to. Should I even continue reacting to this? Because I'm starting to feel like it's literally. Bring this out because both parties do this. And this is why I say Nicki Minaj should not surprise you. And it kind of feels like her career is kind of sundowning now. And plus she burns so many bridges that, of course, like if you're supposed to be this big, queen of hip hop that you think you are, why are you getting into fights with people who are new in the game? Why are you getting in fights with novices? MC Light is not getting Megan or Meg or Remy. Hell, she don't even probably know who Ice Spice is. Queen Latifah is not out here clapping back, and none of y'all. Eve is living her best life. Now, of course, she's being rich in a European country, but that's a whole other can of worms. I don't feel like opening up. But it's like, come on. Who is Missy bothering? Lil Kim? She warned people about Nicki. She warned them. She was like, y'all don't know, but she knew. Who's getting into arguments with Rod Digger? Like, nah, bro. Like, come on. Nicki is showing you everything. Missy taking her credibility as an MC and lighting it on fire. And now she's talking about, oh my God, what's going on in Nigeria is so horrible. Actually, let's get to that point because I got a point I want to make. Let's go.
This is something I know that's really important to you and on your heart. And I personally want to know what inspired you to speak out for the Christians that are being slaughtered in Nigeria.
Well, and that brings me back to our great president and this administration and our great country, that we take for granted that there right now in this world are people who cannot worship God as they please, where they please. We take it for granted because we have it. We can't even imagine not having that right.
Also where Christians can't worship God the way they want, Israel. Yeah, try being a Christian in Israel. You'll get spat on. Also, while we're at it, let's talk about the Palestinians too, especially the Palestinians that are Muslim. They're getting bombed like crazy. And then also pushing Islamophobia here in the United States as well. Oh, but we can't talk about that. Okay. Let me let her finish. Let me let her finish. JB, stop being so mean. Let me let her finish.
But every time we pray and fellowship, we have to remember the people that are right now in this world hiding to pray and fellowship. And we have to pray for them. And first of all, Nigeria is a place I've always loved. Someone very dear to me, my pastor. And so hearing that while they're in church, people are being kidnapped, people are being killed of their religion. And that should spark outrage in the great America. And that's what it did. And again, we're not backing down anymore. We are not going to be silenced by the bullies anymore, okay? Know that. Hear that. Receive that, bullies. We won't be silenced ever again. We will speak up for Christians wherever they are in this world. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right. First of all, if Nicki cares so much about Christians, right? Let me share this first. My question to Nicki Minaj is this, because in 2 days, it will be the second anniversary of this particular event that happened. And I don't remember Nicki Minaj saying a damn thing about this. Let me remind y'all. This came out 2 years ago in 2023 on December 25th. Israel hits Bethlehem in Christmas raids on occupied West Bank. The blurb says dozens have been arrested as Israeli forces storm Jenin and areas around Nablus. So this was in Bethlehem, Christmas Day in the occupied West Bank, with an attack on Jenin refugee camp and several arrests. The raid on Monday morning followed several others across the territory, which saw dozens of arrests and a shooting in the neck of a 17-year-old boy. Amongst towns hit was Bethlehem. And so here's the crazy part, right? Nicki Minaj is saying this now when it comes to Nigeria. But where was she? Was she had been zip, zero, zilch, hadn't said a damn thing. To Christians. So she is now saying, see, this is what I call a grift. Like if she said that about them in Palestine, but then she also said this about what's going on in Nigeria. Okay, there's some consistency there, but there's no consistency right now. She's deeply inconsistent because when you're grifting, you go along with what is convenient. Because I want to make sure that people know the facts. So, this is from Tunde Osazua. Says Nigeria in the crosshairs, separating fact from fiction in the looming crisis. So it shows a post by Donald Trump on Truth Social. He says the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians. The USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. Interesting how they have to say, oh, this Islamic terrorists. Why? Wonder why. I'm hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet. What kind of... Look, these people, they are monsters, man. says, just like the terrorist thugs that attack our cherished Christians, warning the Nigerian government better move fast. Okay. It says, threat of U.S. military action in Nigeria has little to do with protecting Christians and everything to do with domestic U.S. politics and international political games. The genocide claims obscures a far more complex reality of state failure and economic collapse. It says, a dangerous fiction is being weaponized against Nigeria, threatening to plunge an already beleaguered country into deeper abyss. The narrative of systemic Christian genocide used to justify President Donald Trump's threat of a guns-a-blazing U.S. military intervention is not just an oversimplification. It's a deliberate distortion designed to serve external geopolitical interests. The narrative constructs a stark binary world of Muslim perpetrators and Christian victims, a story crafted for moral outrage. Yet the response from Nigeria's own leadership, characterized by what we can only describe as groveling accommodation, reveals a deeper crisis of sovereignty that transcends the immediate military threat. It's a central claim of a Christian genocide is a profound falsehood that collapses under the weight of evidence, as the armed conflict location and event data projected reported. While Christians make up roughly 50% of the population, violence in which Christians have been specifically targeted in relation to the religious identity accounts for only 5% of reported civilian targeting events. Even Trump's own envoy for Arab and African affairs, Massa Boulos, acknowledged that Boko Haram has killed more Muslims than Christians. The majority of victims, both Islamic insurgencies and criminal banditry, are Muslims, but simply because these conflicts are concentrated in Nigeria's northern and northwestern regions, where Muslims form the demographic majority. The threat of U.S. military action against Nigeria, justified by claims of a Christian genocide, did not emerge in a vacuum. Trump's remarks came after weeks of lobbying by U.S. lawmakers and conservative Christian groups, and reflect renewed domestic political pressure to appear tough on the marginalization or persecution of Christians abroad, a theme that resonates strongly with parts of its right-wing evangelical base. The theme of persecution of Christians is a very politically charged theme for evangelicals. The threat is, first and foremost, a signal to U.S. domestic audience designed to energize a key part of Trump's political base with the spectacle of a righteous guns-blazing crusade. The central claim of a Christian genocide is a profound falsehood. There is no state-sanctioned, religiously motivated campaign to exterminate Christians in Nigeria. This label, a term with specific language and moral weight, is being grotesquely misapplied. The accompanying narrative that violence is driven purely by Islamic extremism, targeting Christianity, willfully ignores a fundamental documented reality. The primary victims of the most prominent Islamist insurgent groups, Boko Haram and ISWAP, have been Muslims in the Northeast who reject their extremist ideology. To claim otherwise is to disregard the experience of millions and collapse a multifaceted security landscape into a singular, misleading religious war. Furthermore, the assertion that the U.S. threat of military action in Nigeria is primarily focused by humanitarian concern is a cynical falsehood. History proves a clear lesson. From Iraq's oil to Libya's strategic position, humanitarian rhetoric has constantly served as a cover for resource grabs and geopolitical maneuvering. So, with that being said, most of the victims are actually Muslim, not Christian. And so with Nicki Minaj is going, oh my God, this Christian genocide, she is also either ignorant as hell or she's lying to you. So this is why when people look at Nicki Minaj and they're going, my God, are there actually genocide of Christians? No, there isn't. There isn't. So Nicki Minaj is grifting. Just like a lot of celebrities do. A lot of celebrities grift because that is how they make their coin. They got to do something in order to be able to make more money. And ultimately, these people, they will grift as much as they possibly can for as long as they can, right? So I'm going to share this with you guys too, because Malcolm X told us, he warned us in 1963. And so I'm going to share this for you guys, and please make sure to remember this.
I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they...
Every single time you see a celebrity, especially a black celebrity, I want you to think about what Malcolm X said.
I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders.
Or a rapper.
These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community, and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear.
And that's who we have in Nicki Minaj. That's what we have. And so people talking about, oh, well, Nicki Minaj, she's, you know, for the Christian community. No, she's not. No, she ain't. Nope. And so I'm going to show you exactly how a lot of us, I mean, the barbs are going to get mad, but hey, this is exactly how we see it. So the trash pandification, the transformation is complete now. Boom, 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 bass. That's super bass. So should you be surprised? If you are, you better wake up, sis, or bruh, or fam. But barbs, wake up. Go ahead and give a like to the stream, guys. All right, so let's quickly get through these comments, and then I'm gonna head on out. All right, guys, let's go into the Kick stream to see if we have any comments, and then we should get to the comments in chat. All right, looks like we're good there. All right, perfection. That's what we like to see. All right, and now let's take a look. Let me check. All right, let's go into the regular chat now. We're good there. We are good. We're golden. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my car. All right. What? Jacqueline says, really impressed with that high note you reached just then, JB. I went high. Okay, let's go into the chat. Okay, so Julia, I started your comment because I wanted to make sure I got back to this. So Julia says, Kirk said Minaj isn't a good role model for black girls, but in the GOP, if a celebrity publicly supports a felon who is found liable for sexual abuse, they instantly become a great role model, right? It's hilarious on his face. My goodness. Comrade Chris coming in says, Nicki Minaj doesn't surprise me. She operates from what I call overseer logic. An individual granted conditional privileges in exchange for managing oppression on behalf of power. Hemp Car, thank you so much. Good to see you. It says Nicki Minaj says she's possessed by a demon. Now she's promoting Christian crap. Okay. Oh my gosh. Jacqueline says, meanwhile, what's happening to the student's autistic little brother while the student was being assaulted by cops? Oh, that's a good question from the last stream. Jacqueline. Rondo says all she did was what Megan Thee Stallion did for Obama. Yep. Basically. Like, what? Are you kidding me right now? Jacqueline says Nicki is so pleased to be invited inside that club George Carlin was talking about, that it doesn't even occur to her that she should have told them to F off when she got the invite to join. Roger says Nicki up there like, I'm only doing this because I don't want Trump to deport me. She's trying to ride that train, but I guarantee you she probably wrote a lot. I'm not reading the rest of that, Roger. Gonna get me. You're not getting me in trouble. Kill Your Grigor says nothing promotes the gospel quite like WAP. Not like, I got Ben Shapiro's squeaky little voice coming in my head going, wet ass P word. Oh Lord. I love laughing at genocidal maniacs. That's why I love laughing at people like Ben Shapiro, because and war criminals, I laugh at them too. You gotta laugh to keep yourself from crying, Let me see. Edward says Democrats and Republicans the same breed. Both support Israel and the corporations. Not only are the Muslim Palestinians are getting killed by Israel, but the Christian Palestinians too. And she ain't saying nothing about them. Nothing. All right. Fire Repo says, I was just wondering how far away 420 is. Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, Hemcar says, like in East Timor when we genocided a third of their country, or when we shot Saint Father Oscar Romero through the heart with an exploding round. The United States did a lot of genocide, man. Yep. Rondo says Amber Rose and Stacey Dash all went down the alt-right pipeline. Oh, Marlo, they said you weren't subscribed again. Please check to see if you guys are still subscribed, because I don't know what YouTube is doing. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Check to see if you guys are still subscribed. Thank you very much for that, Mouse. Yeah, apps are acting funny, but yeah. Here. Quintessential says, is my basic view correct? Why U.S. cops want to use force and not real solutions to crime is that in capitalism, you have to justify your pay or be fired. So create danger, then U.S. cops justify budget. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. All right. And I'm just trying to make sure I got to people who, let me see. Okay. All right, guys. So I have to get going. I am very late. I am very overtime, but be sure to tune in to the clips that I will have. And I will be live on Sunday for the for the JB show on RBN. I'll be speaking with a comrade that did a recent documentary. His name is Ryan Delmolino. I can't believe I messed up his name. I had it right in my head, but yes, tune in for that because he actually did a documentary as well about gentrification. I can't wait to have him on and talk about that. But guys, this will be the final day I see you guys before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you. Also, happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa. To all my anti-Zionist Jewish brethren out there, happy Hanukkah to you. If you celebrate, if you do not celebrate any of those holidays, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and enjoy the cooler weather whenever it comes here in Florida. And thank you guys so very much. Also, don't forget to check out my new episode on my podcast, Network Kind Connections, where I talk to Right Brain Studios, the filmmakers who also produced the documentary Death to America by Rome of RBN. So that was a wonderful part as well. So if you guys can actually take a look at that, that was a great conversation. So heading on out, guys. Thank you guys. In the next one, like I always say, water your plants, water yourselves, leave the world, especially if it's eggnog, because eggnog, well, it gets you right or it gets you wrong in the gastric region. Ooh. If so, then be careful. Don't do it. But guys, if you ain't got him, watch something funny because joy is your favorite cookie. It can be a chocolate chip cookie or it can be one of my favorites, a softly baked oatmeal raisin cookie. Hey, I gotta push my oatmeal raisin cookies. I have an agenda. Anyways, guys, see you guys next time. Oh, and forehead kisses. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you'd like to see any more, you can look here.